Hi there. Come and join me for a new idea on a monochromatic, clean and simple memory keeping layout featuring some of Altenews' latest release. I'll see you in a bit. Hi there, and welcome to a new episode of Inspired by a Card with Nathalie. Today we're going to be working on a new idea for a memory keeping layout that is monochromatic, clean, and simple. And the inspiration comes from Amy Suruta, and I love her card. I love the combination of the tone on tone stencil with the beautiful blossoming freesia on top of it. So I'm going to use pretty much the same material that she used. Starting with this is the sweater pattern stencil. It's a 2 stencil in one, and you can layer them to create different designs. Compared to what Amy used for her card, I'm going to go with more of the dried petals fresh dye inks. So I'm starting with the lightest color, which is pink crystal. So I'm just going to go ahead and use stencil number 1 from the sweater pattern stencil set to create my first layer. So I'm using one of my mini ink blending brushes, and I've set my paper on top of my sticky mat. I'm using the very sticky one to just start my design, and it makes it super simple. Once I've completed the entire design, I'm going to go ahead and switch it to the next stencil number 2, and I'm going to use the next color in this set, which is mauve, and I'm going to use again my mini ink blending tool, going in a circular motion on top of the stencil to deposit the ink through the holes of the stencil, thus creating the design. Once I have it all, I'm going to I'll move my paper a little bit higher and create a second pattern. For this, I'm going to use the Build a Garden Blossoming Freesias. If you check out the stencil set in this Build a Garden set, it actually comes with a little dotted line. So I'm going to repeat that dotted line with Berrylicious, which is the third color in the dried petaled fresh dye inks. And I'm going to just repeat this pattern a few times to create kind of like a square of dots, pretty much the same size as what I created with the sweater pattern stencil. So I'm just going to take my time, and I'm just going to repeat the stencil. I want to be careful not to stain or go outside of the area so it doesn't stain. So while my stencil parts dried, I'm going to go ahead and create the florals for this. I am using the same idea as Amy and using the Build a Garden Blossoming Freesias to create the florals. So I'm going to go ahead and use my stamp wheel and some Obsidian Pigment Ink to create a few of the blossoms on white cardstock. Now, I'm going to take my time and actually use the die. I have the add-on die for this Build a Garden, and I'm going to go ahead and cut my blossoms. I have 4 blossoms that I stamped, and then when I come back, I wanted to add a little bit of color to this, just a tiny bit, just to make them pop a little bit more from the page. So you're going to see that I'm using Swamp Green Fresh Dye ink just to add a little bit of color to the center of the florals and also to the bottom of where the stems are holding the florals. Just a little bit, not all the stem, just a little bit, just to make it pop a bit from the page. Even though I'm going monochromatic, I do want to add a little hint of another color just to make sure that my image doesn't get hidden in between. So now that I have everything ready, it's time to start bringing my idea. If you look at the card that Amy created, she layered patterns for her card. I'm going to go with that idea, but instead of laying the pattern, I'm going to fake it, kind of camouflage that idea and actually think of more of a checker pattern for my idea. So I'm going to have pieces. I've cut my stencil pieces into 1.5 squares, and I'm going to pretty much overlap them, creating, it looks like a chessboard. Now, one of the things that you're going to see on Amy's design is that her dotted piece is sitting on top of her sweater pattern pieces. So to give the same idea, I'm actually going to add a little piece of cardstock behind my little dotted squares so that it gives them a little bit of lift and the idea that is like overlapping. So I'm just going to take my time and just glue that in place. I'm only going to glue it to the left hand side of my spread. I'm creating a 6 by 8 layout for my album. So I'm creating this illusion or this background, I can say, for the title page of my layout. So you're gonna see that once I created, like I've cut all my designs together, I'm gonna trim the excess, and then I'm gonna bring those blossoming freesias that I created, and I'm gonna bundle two on my title page as if they're coming into the page from the left. And then once again, I want to have clean edges, so I'm gonna go ahead and trim the excess of the flowers that is sticking outside of the page. Once I have that, I'm just gonna set it aside, and I'm gonna work on my pictures. For that, the two pieces left over of the stencil papers that I created, I'm gonna add them as layers for my picture. I don't want to create the same checkered pattern because it's gonna get lost behind my pictures. I want to go with something simple but still bring the idea from the left hand side onto the picture side of my layout. So you're gonna see that I'm putting my sweater pattern as the bottom layer, and I'm adding the dotted paper on top of it. I'm gonna add two pictures. That's me after a long night of work, and what I created that night, it was for a contract. And then again, I'm gonna bring the florals from the outside of the page into my layout as if it's coming from the right edge, because I want to kind of like create that center, bring the focal to the center of my page. Once I have that, I need to create my title. For that, I'm going to bring the Timeless Sentiment die set, and you're going to see that I'm using the darker color of the dry petals Freesia ink, and that is acai berry, just to kind of rub a little bit of that on white cardstock. And I'm going to cut the shadow of the word hello out of it, and then I'm going to cut the word hello out of shimmer glitter cardstock. I am using diamond for that, and then I'm going to set it at the bottom of that cluster of blossoming freesias on the left of the page, and then I'm just going to bring some alphas from my stash to add the word work. It sounds redundant, but it's not the same word at the bottom, and that's going to be the title for my page. I'm going to add a few more elements from my stash, some circles, just to bring the sentiments of the layout. And just to finish that, I think I need a little bit of shine, so I went into my metallic watercolor palette. This is from Altenew, and I'm just going to add a little bit of those movie tones using one of my watercolor brushes and a little bit of water, and that's about it. I love how this turned out. It was super simple. I love the combination of the two patterns, and even though it has the same tone, just having the little bit of cardstock and the different patterns creates that beautiful illusion. I hope you enjoy it, and as always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content, and you can check more details on the blog. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you soon. Take care, guys.
Hey there, Lydia here. I really do hope that you've just enjoyed the video. If so, please subscribe to the Altenew YouTube channel. Also, turn on the notification bell so you can get your daily dose of crafty techniques and tutorials just like this. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.